addition to some of the best packages in the world. Free lunches and dry cleaning and card wash, I mean, all that other stuff. I mean, forget about all that. That's great, that's wonderful, and your stock's going up, and it's not, but it's for that reason. It's because they get to work in an environment where they can, there's no envelope. Yahoo has an envelope. They're learning, but they're struggling. I mean, why did Yahoo pass up all these companies so fast? So let's talk about some growth just in the end of 2009. And again, the worst economy since the Great Depression, or at least that's what economists tell us, right? Zonair Medical Systems had 2,019% growth. Solution Set had 1,205% growth. And on and on. Market Research Inc. had a 759% growth. And RE Grid Power had a 391% growth. Now it's interesting to note, what did these companies have in common? And I've said it 4 times today so far. And we're early on in the presentation. Low overhead, good partners, good distribution model, disruptive technology, low overhead, good management, and they eliminated some of the zeros, most of the zeros that get you in trouble in your balance sheet. That's what they all have in common. So it's not just me saying that. I'm following and looking at these companies that are successful during the worst times that I've seen since I've been alive. I mean, it's impossible. So innovations in biotech, telemed, online education, social retailing are supported by partnerships with universities and private entrepreneurship. One of the things that we're very open with and to here is having affiliations, and I'm talking about youth, having affiliations with the local universities for development, technology exchanges, and partnerships in general. They're a lot easier to manage and a lot easier to put together than you may think. And the reason that's important is because you can get, in some cases, funding. They'll give you an office at their science park or their tech center, and they'll give you an exchange. Now, I was just in France and put together a partnership with Stanford University's engineering department, and it's kind of the northern region of France it's called the Nord region, but Lille, L-I-L-L-E, is the city, and then there's a region of 150 million people around it. Okay. And Stanford wants to do a technology exchange because they've got companies that they're incubating, but nobody knows about it. Well, one of the companies that they incubated was Google. Does anyone know that every time you click on Google, Stanford University makes money? Yeah, they make money. In addition, that the 2 founders graduated and gave them tons of money, they still get a royalty because of their partnership with Stanford. Now, I wouldn't mind having Stanford as a partner. I've seen what they have to offer. I'd be pretty comfortable with that. But if not Stanford, UC Berkeley. If not UC Berkeley, San Jose State. If not San Jose State, hey, I mean, it's not, you don't have to always be Stanford. It can be San Diego State. They have a nice technology department. The idea is, do local authorities support IT entrepreneurship? No, it's really driven in large part by VCs and incubators. And in some sense, like TechBA. Okay? So it's not important for you to have the relationship, it's important for TechBA to have the relationship. And then you jump off of TechBA's shoulders into those relationships that Jorge and his team have forged and put together. This is interesting, and I made a European reference to this because I think you'll all like this, kind of humorous. Okay, there's 4 key innovations up there. that changed the world. Okay? The World Wide Web, MP3, Skype, peer-to-peer VoIP, and Linux. Everybody agree with that pretty much? That they changed the world? Okay. These 4 innovations have one common characteristic. They were all invented in Europe. Everybody know that? They weren't even in Silicon Valley. They were in Europe. Well, you're doing your reading. Good. Keep up late nights and look at that. Now, this is where Europe failed. And look, when I give a similar talk in Europe, they get very mad at this slide. Everybody, like, you can see everybody go. Everybody gets mad at this slide, okay? But we outfoxed them here. How did we do that? They were all leveraged into profitable products by American companies. Because Europe didn't move fast enough. They didn't think outside the box. They were too myopic in their view and their vision for what they needed to do. Right? No. The right kind of immigrants, founders at Sun, Google, Yahoo, eBay. Because they seized what was happening in the US and they operated at the US pace. One of the things that companies from other geographies tell me is they're overwhelmed at the pace of the US market. It moves so fast. Things can happen so fast that it takes your breath away. And you don't know if you're making the right decision. Well, wait a minute, is this? There's such an energy that pushes you once you get engaged that I've had companies say, we're not going to do this right now. We don't understand it. We don't want to understand it. It's too scary. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There's no dishonor in that. There's plenty of honor in the fact that they recognize that. But if you're in it and you come in here, then be prepared to operate at the pace. For example, if you walk out of a meeting with a company, a partner, an entrepreneur, whoever you're meeting with, make sure that they get an email within several hours. That's hard. That's very hard. It's a different discipline. It seems like a small thing, because guess what? If I meet you and I have a meeting with you and you don't follow up to me to remind me of the conversation and what we talked about and what the actions are, I've forgotten about you by tomorrow morning. Because I can only keep so much stuff in my head. I mean, I try to manage myself by calendars and all kinds of task lists. It doesn't work. I can only fit so much in my head. It's impossible otherwise. So if you don't follow up and suggest what we should be thinking about and where we should be going, I've forgotten about it. Because I think that person's not ready. They're not ready because they don't know how to talk to me. They don't know my culture, how I'm thinking about working, living, and making money in the US. Okay, here's some interesting things that I wanted to go through. Differences between Mexico versus the US. US entrepreneurs, for the most part, and I'm sure you've met quite a few of them, focus on being the best in one niche and dominate that niche and then grow from there. Everyone knows the company EMC, right? EMC? Okay, there's a company they bought called Documentum. Okay, they call it EMC2 now. Okay? Documentum's claim to fame is they got successful in the pharmaceutical space. Even though people were saying, their board of directors and their venture capitalists were saying, oh, you need to be in banking. You need to be in retail. No, we want to be in pharmaceutical. We want to dominate pharmaceutical. And the rise in revenue was so great, then they were able to expand. And that's when EMC offered them back the truck up and just started throwing money through the door. But they focused on one industry until they got to be the dominant player in the industry. The de facto standard, the best business practice standard in that market.